Our life has value, it has meaning, and I will not let us be erased from history. And that type of visual healing that needs to happen, where I see a Black woman working in the factory in the 21st century, and it is evident, and it is evidence that we've always done that and have always contributed to our workforce and our local economies. Hi, I'm LaToya Ruby Frazier. I'm an artist, an activist, an advocate, a truth teller. We are sitting here today with Lee Friedlander's Ohio Factory Valley series. When we're looking at like the history of photography or the history of art in this country, rarely or seldom, if ever, do you see images of Black people being depicted in this way. They both take me back to what it felt like being a little girl looking at other working Black Americans in the 80s. You know, I'm from a town where by the time I was born, it was already shrinking, plants were shuttered, the workforce was downsized, and it was a very somber, heavy moment. And I think a tender moment that it brings to me is my grandmother, Ruby. My grandmother's husband at the time died on my mother's first birthday. That really changed everything. Her becoming a Black woman that has to raise 6 children as a single mother on her own in a segregated city, where she then becomes a manager at Goodwill to try to provide for her family. And so when I see images of Black women at work in Lee Friedlander's Factory Valley series, it reinstills that sense of pride. And it allows me to pause and think about my grandmother in that context, instead of always thinking about it from a place of loss or a place of pain. The one here on the left is of this beautiful Black woman just so gently and gracefully putting these Hoover vacuum parts together. The attention to detail, how she's dressing and carrying herself at work. Just the way that Lee is composing the frame and the figure, it's almost as if he's not even there. You can tell when there's respect and care and intention and thoughtfulness. And the way that Lee is standing only 2 feet, 2.5, 3 feet away from them, but then shooting it at this tilt where you see the negative space at the top of the frame that then allows us as a viewer to see the production and manufacturing and the work wrap itself around them. I want to know that worker's name. How many generations of their family work there? What exactly is the labor they're doing? How repetitive, and for how many minutes and seconds? In this second one here, I mean, this is the original one and the first one I pulled. I mean, this is just a knockout image. It's one of those things that warms my heart, and it feels so familiar because I remember my cousins having these t-shirts as well with like these computer graphic images of family members. There's a real sense of pride in this one that is opposite of what we are used to seeing when Black family members and community are wearing the t-shirts to memorialize the death of someone. And I appreciate that Lee sees this detail and takes the time to really photograph the fact that it's a Black woman in a bakery at work doing this repetitive labor, but celebrating her family, her identity, her culture, expressing herself in a more playful way. Someone like me coming much later, where I'm making these images collaboratively. So you know their name, their point of view, what the struggle is, how they're fighting back. It is important to then add on and allow them to speak back, to contextualize the story, and then generate from the resources that that photograph then creates. How we can stand on photographs and use them for social justice, equity, and cultural change is by connecting these two images of what Lee Friedlander has done for my visual force field as an image maker and storyteller. I can speak through photographs about how I feel about my lived experience in America and pay homage to people who are also everyday working people.